Director, David Lauder, Washington Bureau Chief for the Los Angeles Times, and Bakari Sellers, CNN commentator and former Democratic South Carolina House member. Nice to have you all here. Alice, let me begin with you. As someone who worked in communications for Senator Ted Cruz, who was so much more outspoken on issues like the transgender school bathroom issue during the campaign, who took a much more clear stance on social issues than the current president, how do you square what the White House has done here, pulling back on this federal guidelines, and then what candidate Trump said about being a protector of LGBTQ individuals on the campaign trail? Let's listen.
As your president, I will do everything in my power to protect our LGBTQ citizens from the violence and oppression of a hateful foreign ideology. Believe me. And I have to say, as a Republican, it is so nice to hear you cheering for what I just said. Thank you.
So how do you square the two, Alice?
I can tell you, Poppy, social conservatives applaud the decision by the administration for several reasons, but more than anything, they feel that this helps parents protect their children. And look, since those comments that Donald Trump said early on in the campaign, he has made it quite clear his view on this is to make it a states' rights issue, which is what this decision has become. And look, Sean Spicer has followed that up with not only does he believe it's a states' rights issue, we're talking about Title IX, which forbids sexual discrimination in school and at school activities. Transgender bathrooms is nowhere near listed in Title IX, and Jeff Sessions reaffirmed that in his wording on this, that transgender bathrooms aren't included in Title IX, and that is the motivation behind this, not to mention the fact that they want this to be decided at the state level, and the administration plans to work with school officials to make sure that sexual discrimination does not happen in schools. However, with regard to transgender bathrooms, it's not a part of it.
So I want you guys to look and listen to some of the folks that rallied outside the White House last night on this.
That we will not be silenced, and that we will stand with and protect trans youth. No matter what happens, no one, not even the government, can defeat a community so full of life, color, diversity, and most importantly, love.
Bakari, to you, how would the administration be best advised to handle this and questions on it? Because they're party to this lawsuit that's going from Virginia to the Supreme Court. So some would say, look, they had to show their hand here. They had to pull this back. At the same time, you've got a number of conservatives pointing to the fact that they might rather have the president and the administration focused on other issues like tax reform, like jobs, like repealing and replacing Obamacare than these social issues.
Let me say first that this is not a states' rights issue. This is a civil rights issue. The American government has the duty to protect all citizens, no matter their race, color, creed, or sexual orientation. Donald Trump on the campaign trail said that he would be a great friend to the LGBTQ community. And with friends like this, I guess who needs enemies? The fact is that, as you said, Attorney General Sessions could have started out talking about immigration reform or terrorism or criminal justice reform. There's so many things under the Department of Justice that he could have spoken out against. But Attorney General Sessions is who he thought he was. And so to pick on a vulnerable class like this, and just to comment briefly on my good friend Alice Stewart, since Barack Obama put this guidance in place, can you name me one instance where there's been a case where a child was put in any type of danger because now they have the ability to go to the restroom that identifies with the gender that they choose? And I think that what we're seeing throughout this country now is this veil being taken off, and many kids are going to feel unsafe, and many kids are going to go through depression. And you know, I feel deeply troubled by this move. But again, elections have consequences, and Attorney General Sessions is exactly who we thought he was.
Quickly, before I go to David, Alice, do you want to respond to that? Can you name an instance?
Sure. In terms of the schools, no, I can. I can honestly say I can't, but I certainly don't want to wait for something to happen before we take action. However, you do recall there have been numerous cases with regard to Target and their transgender dressing rooms, and that is a concern. We don't need to have any more incidents happen before we take action. I think it's important to do this. More than anything, children, when they go to school, it's a safe zone. They are supposed to be safe and protected, and there are many parents who feel that this violated that safety, and that's a big part of why this decision was made.
Just to be clear here, put a button on it. No incident in any school that you can point to this happening. And